Suicide Prevention Month, last 2 days. Reminder, you do not have to struggle alone. There are so many resources out there for you. If you're in the US, dial or text 988 for free and confidential support in English and Spanish. If you're outside the US, check out the World Health Organization website or the International Association for Suicide Prevention and find places and resources near you. You do not have to go through this alone. Take care. We are back. It is Monday morning-ish, and this is episode 60. I am just so grateful, and I am extra grateful to have my 40th guest, who is very special to me for a couple different reasons. Just because you're a guest, Pam. So all my guests are welcomed into the Adventures in Adversity family. And then also, I happen to adore your two sons, Jake and Joe, who were on, I believe it was episode, I want to say 45. I wrote it down. If it's not, I'm going to actually, when I edit this, I'll put their little faces up.
Okay.
Jake and Joe.
Yes, Jake and Joe. Jake and Joe. Nobody knows which one is which, but Jake and Joe. That's all they've ever been known by is Jake and Joe.
And oh my gosh. And so I had them as a guest, as two guests on the podcast, maybe a couple months ago. And then since I've they've become my new friends and we support each other. And they are actually two of my, I want to say, consistent biggest fans who just give me love on Instagram where I'm like, you liked that? I didn't even like that, but was it good? Like, I'm just like, they're so sweet and it's really cool and hilarious. And they are doing amazing things. And we'll get to that as well. But Pam, I wanted to thank you so much for being my guest, for being a fellow mother, a fellow sister in Christ, and just a fellow human being that is willing and open to sharing your story and the adversity that you and your family have been through. Because I know that what brings us all together is our adversity is different, sometimes the same, but we all feel this pain in life that we have to navigate, right? At different times,
exactly. Right.
Different ages, right? And it just never seems to, it just goes up and down. And I'm like, it's just not done. So
exactly. It's not done. There's no break. Sometimes.
No break. And so I thought the mission of this podcast, if you're new here, before I hand it over and ask Pam some questions, because I talk a lot and I want to stop. The mission of this podcast is to really showcase and like bring to life real people, true stories, to provide daily inspiration, whether that's through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, like however you're catching bits of this or episodes of this during traffic or working out, whatever.
Right.
To make you feel that whatever age, we've got viewers from 18 to 65 to 80, that you are not alone. That adversity, especially during this month of September, which is Suicide Prevention Month, especially to raise awareness for the resources and the people and the community you can connect with if you're struggling.
Yeah.
So Pam, you have a podcast called Fight Hard, Love Much.
Yes.
You are a mom. You are a mental health advocate, which we're going to talk about, brain health advocate. We're going to talk about that. You're a podcast host. And you are someone who has experienced great grief in your life, and you're navigating that every day, right?
Every day.
Moment.
Yep.
So can you talk to me a little bit about, first of all, I wanted to say from my deepest heart how sorry I am for your loss of your son, Sam. And I know that loss has led to your advocacy and who you have become over the last 5 years, right?
Yes.
So I've been talking so much. I want to hand it over to you just to kind of talk a little bit about your son, Sam, some of your favorite memories about him, and then we'll go from there into the conversation, if that's okay with you.
Yes, that I love to talk about Sam just because I mean, I love to talk about all my kids, but Sam came into this life Crazy. Like the I made videos for all my kids a long time ago. It was kind of when DVDs were new. And so I had all the pictures and I had somebody put them all together to music. And Sam's song that I picked was I Like to Move It, Move It. Because he never stopped moving. And but he was so funny from day one. Just a character and would say the most random things and quick-witted. Like I've never met somebody as good as he is at being hilarious. Jake and Joe are a close match.
I
they
mean,
they
Jake and Joe
me
are
laughing.
pretty up
Yes,
there. So
they
Sam like mentored
Sam totally.
them.
Yes. Yes, he did mentor them. He was good, I mean, at being able to come back with a comeback and a saying, and he could make anybody smile, like
Mm,
just. And that really was how he lived, was making people smile. and
yeah.
and from elementary school to high school to I just people came out. When he passed away, we just received notes after notes of from strangers and kids in classes, and they're like, Sam would sit by me and I felt like I wasn't alone, and or he would smile at me and make my day, or say hi, or say something funny to me. And that was just his gift
That
of
was his gift.
uh,
Hmm.
a big old smile. He could. Yeah, I tell a story on one of the podcasts, I don't know, a long time ago. He One junior high hit is when things started to get rough, and he had a hard time going to school.
Okay.
And but he the junior high office workers, because he would miss so much and be in and out or
Just
be late,
yeah.
he would sweet talk them. Like he would walk in and they're like, Sam, it's like 10:30. What's up? And oh,
And he's like, "Hey,
I just.
Carol, how you
I mean, they
doing?"
could not. Teachers just wanted to strangle his neck, and yet at the same time, they were busting up laughing. Teachers would say that they would have to like turn around because they would laugh, and then they would say, Sam, go step outside for a minute. Because it was so good, and yet you saw it. Try
Right.
to have control of the class.
Yeah.
But he yeah, he was just funny. But he bought all of the junior high office workers at the end of, well, I bought it, but
Yeah.
we
He
bought it
secured
together.
finances
He
from you.
bought them all Starbucks at the end of the school year because, you know, just because they had to deal with him all year. But that he's just funny. He was just hilarious, and he was crazy psycho, like.
Well, what I love about, and I'm gonna link to your adorable son's page, JGO Fit, all
Yeah.
the videos and reels they share of your family, especially him sneaking videos on you. And
Oh,
you're
the
like,
hot
God,
mom
you're
videos.
like, God,
Yes.
you're like, enough. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The hot mom videos
Hot
were a
mom.
classic.
Hot mom.
Yes. Hot mom videos that I was like walking in the grocery store one day. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I look awful. I'm walking out and two teenage girls are walking in. They're like, oh my gosh, that's a hot mom. And I was like, oh my. They were so embarrassing. And yes, I was usually so tired, but oh my gosh, I love those videos.
Because and yet he's still spreading joy. Like
Yeah.
those
Oh yeah.
literally,
Hmm.
like I legit laugh out loud, and then also kind of now having known your sons, having spent that hour and a half with them, and then just having gotten to know them, now I'm like, I just love that it's joy. His
Yeah.
memory lives on that way, like because
People can't watch it without laughing.
it's really
I
funny.
j-
Like I'm not just saying that where you're like, oh my
yeah.
gosh, these guys are comedy.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really our house.
That was
Our
your house.
house was crazy and loud, and um up until the twins had left on their missions.
Yeah.
Right before that is when my oldest three had got married. So really, all seven kids were living at home for up until about that year, and it was just chaos. I mean, it. But we would have it
So
was so fun at the same time.
yeah.
As a mom,
Oh,
I miss those years and that so much, but
oh.
we had a good time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah,
And
that was my Sam.
that's your
That
Sam.
was
And
it. That was my Sam.
well, and I want to start out with that because I, you know, his memory lives on and the
Hmm.
joy of him lives on, and he lives on through your kids and through the friendships that your kids now turned adults. Um,
Hmm.
now and the mental health, brain health awareness that they're spreading and the ripple effect of those videos. And to be honest with you, your son's encouragement has helped me over the last couple months. I've gotten some
That's
trolls. I've
awesome.
got, you know, how like where I'm just
Right.
like, and then I'm like, oh, J Duo Fit's got my back. I'm good. Like, just like I'm like, those are my boys. Like, I'm fine. Don't worry about it, Brie. Don't worry about that troll comment you just read. They got
Yeah.
you. You know, you got your crew that keeps you going. Like,
Hmm.
great post. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So it all that ripple effect of like the joy and in that you as a mom created in your
Hmm.
household is now they're helping so many people.
Yeah.
And so I
I
just want
know
to
they're
commend you
doing
for
great.
creating that, you know?
Well, I mean, we definitely have, and we definitely have had our issues,
Sure,
and we
sure.
were not at all perfect.
No family is.
Um, but I think my kids would all say that, yeah, that we had a good time growing up,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it
Same.
was a lot of fun. Yeah,
Same. And to be real with you too, like I come from a solid family. We definitely had our moments and like
yeah,
definitely. And then you grow up and you look back at your own family and you're like, "Whoa, hey, that
yeah,
that could have been handled differently or is
yeah,
that wow, they really handled that amazingly." Like,
yeah.
wow. Like I really, you know, and it's hard being a parent. It's hard being a human being and it's hard navigating adversity. So when you have
Right.
those moments of connection and laughs that you can relive on camera, that's
Mhm.
special to have.
Yeah.
Um
I will
so
say,
yeah.
talking about how Sam was just so funny and everything. eh, I know Jake and Joe get comments like this on their stuff all the time when they post pictures of him
Yeah.
being so funny.
Yeah.
And he had a counselor once tell him that, oh, you're just acting like that to hide it. And maybe at the end some of that was,
Sure.
but Sam really took offense to that because he's like, no, this
This is
is
who
who
I
I really
am.
I this is who I am. The sadness person is not who I am, and I don't want to be that. And I don't like when people say, "Oh, they're hiding, they're masking it." And because you couldn't have told that to a 1-year old Sam who was the very same way, or the kindergarten Sam. That's how he came.
Yeah.
That was he wasn't. Maybe there were times he masked it with his
Sure.
comedy, but that definitely, Sam's personality was just fun.
Yeah.
And so I don't like that comment. That really, I to me, that's not who he was. Yes, he didn't want people to see the sadness part, and that was where his problem was.
Of
He didn't
course.
want people to see that there was another side to him, but Sam's fun was who Sam was. And he hated this
Totally.
other part of him, and he did not want people to know him for that. So, I don't, when people say that, like, oh, well, yeah, I had to mask it too. And yeah, there's a certain point of that, but not a 2-year old or a 4-year old.
Totally.
That wasn't.
I am so glad you brought that up because when anyone who is struggling with mental health, having been there as well, that joy, sometimes that joy, you're like bathing in that joy that you get to
Mhm.
have because maybe when you're alone, maybe it's not as easy to access, but like people light you up and it brings out the real you, right?
Right,
So
right.
that's what you're fighting to get back to all the time is that
Yeah,
real you.
right, right. That's what
Totally.
he wanted. He
Yes.
didn't, he don't, he hated this other side, and he didn't want people to see that side. And so I wish Sam would have got to that point of being okay to talk to some of his close friends about it, because I know his close friends would have, you know, been right there,
Sure.
but it's like they couldn't, he just did not want to have them see it, and they were doing other things, and he wasn't in school at that time, and they were in school and busy, and he was so happy for them, but yet it was,
Yeah.
I wish he would have got to that point to talk. And that's one of the things that we have really tried to push since he's been gone is you, it's okay to let your friends know.
Yeah.
And it's okay to let people know. But not to hide away in your room and not to, so that's a big push. And that's hard for especially teenage boys
Of course.
or boys in general to let others into that
Sure.
the other side of you that's struggling. And so, um, yeah, I wish that he would have gotten to that point of being able to open up to his friends.
Mm. No, and thank you for sharing that. And I think that what you just said is kind of leads into what we were going to talk about of obviously this is so painful and so difficult, and the question of like, why share this, why have a podcast, why talk
Yeah.
about this when it's so painful? And what comes to mind for you when I ask you that question of like, it's difficult, but like what fuels you to create this advocacy and keep it going, and to delve into a
Yeah.
painful space, which I commend, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's really hard.
It is hard. And, like I still, you're doing so well at keeping it going steady.
Sometimes you have to
And
stop.
at the beginning, I did, but, um, we have our other struggles, or I hit a
Oh,
dark
yeah,
spot, and
yeah.
it's hard to get it out, and it's hard to do it, and it's um kind of relive or hear other struggles, and yet when I do it, I love it, and I'm thankful for it. But when Sam passed away, as soon as he passed away, the thought was, and I feel like it was Sam reaching out saying, yeah, you gotta help this mom, this, because I shouldn't have done this was a mistake.
Mm,
um
mm,
so you have got to spread the word. And we struggled with Sam for over a year,
yeah.
kind of back and forth, and I didn't feel like I knew where to go. I didn't feel like anybody, there was no information out there.
Yeah.
There was like, I don't, I felt so alone, and one that I couldn't talk to anybody, that um, the shame came in of, look at what a mess your family is right now.
I hear you. I get it.
And I just did not feel like there was anything to go to. Our bishop, when I went to our bishop once, not even necessarily about Sam, it was about our younger one, and I was like, I just can't do anything in the church right now. And um, he finally opened up that he had just had a total mental break, and kind of gave me some resources. I was like, oh my gosh, if you can, oh, maybe I'm not alone. And so I felt like he was somebody that we could open up a little bit more to without
Mm.
judgment. But I just was like, there's nothing and I know there was, if I had got on podcasts or
Sure,
started
but
listening, I'm sure there was stuff, but there was nobody around me that I felt like I could go to. Or, and so the idea of starting it was, I didn't know if people would listen, but I thought, I know there's people out there who have to feel the same way as I do. And eh, and it was one of those things of, I want to just be someone that people don't have to feel alone. And
mm,
have a place for information. Like, I didn't know treatments at all. I didn't know, we go to try get treatments, and the doctor saying this and that, and I'm like, I have no idea what that is. I don't know if it will work. All I know is it's going to cost a lot of money. And I just was lost. And so I wanted to give people a resource, one of information,
Yep.
but then of people's stories of what they've done and where they've had to turn, or um, wives who husbands have had a hard time, and they have to support their husbands mentally, and the
Yeah.
struggle that sometimes can be, and moms and others who have their own, like, so I just wanted it to be a place where people could hear different stories and maybe relate to. And most of the guests that I've had on have been super willing
Yeah.
to say, if anybody needs a listening ear, I'm here. If somebody has a question, I'm here. And a lot of them have done different kinds of treatments. So, we've got the ketamine, we've got the MDR, we've got the
Oh yeah.
psychedelics,
All
we've
of it.
got the TMJ. I mean, like, we've got, or TMS,
Yeah.
sorry, not TMJ.
I
Wrong,
probably have
wrong
TMJ. I know that.
numbers. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, wrong
It's
section
okay.
of the
It's
brain
all
and
related.
stuff, phase, but yeah. So I don't know, that's just like, that was what my goal was, is I
Mm.
didn't want other people to feel alone.
Oh, I just amen to all of that. And I love the name of your podcast, Fight Hard, Love Much. And I'm going to brag about you a little bit. I know that
Oh,
your son, it's a wonderful podcast. I've listened to a few episodes. And
thank you.
the first thing I noticed right when I listened to an episode, for some reason, your voice reminded me of one of your sons. And I couldn't tell if it was Jake or Joe. I literally was like, that sounds like one of them. Because
That's
They
scary.
I just was like, "Oh, yep, definitely, that's mom. I can hear mom, and I can see mom in the eyes." Um,
Oh, yes.
but it's
Yeah.
just so cool that, you know, you were able to, and I know every day is a struggle. It's not that anything is over. It's
Yeah,
just that
right.
you were able to muster up the strength, and I do believe that kind of inspiration is divine, and definitely
Hmm.
through Sam, and, like,
Oh, yeah.
just there's
Yes.
no there you're just like, it's like, "Okay, I guess I'm doing this because the pull is so
Yeah.
strong, even though
Right.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not all butterflies and roses having a podcast.
No,
It's
no,
up
it
and
takes some
down.
work, and it's,
Yeah,
yeah.
and especially when you're talking about deep pain. So it's almost like it's
Hmm.
this beautiful thing that is so challenging and so amazing. It's all the things, you
Right.
know?
Yes.
Um, so amazing, and I know your downloads have blown up in the past, and so I'm gonna brag about you, and,
Well, thank
just
you.
saying, I will brag, 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 because you're so humble. So,
Well, I appreciate people who are still hanging in there with me,
hey,
or sharing it with others, or whatever.
I was just telling my kids this morning, and they probably weren't listening because they're second and fourth grade, but, I'm always mouthing off about the podcast, and they're like, "Yeah, mom, podcast, cool, podcast, yep, cool, whatever."
I know.
And I'm like I'm like, "One day you'll thank me." No, but, I
Yeah.
said, and I was trying to kinda dumb it down. I was like, "You know why I have a podcast, guys?" They're like, "'Cause you talk a lot?" No. Because adversity is, like, never over, and, like, it's it's somehow turning it into this adventure is where you can transmute or try to transmute that pain into something good. The pain is
Hmm.
still there, but at least some of it becomes something that spreads healing, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right. Oh, yeah, totally.
which leads me into my next question. So, that's obviously why you're sharing the story. You want to give back. We talked about that. And you
Hmm.
mentioned that you noticed Sam started to struggle maybe in junior high. Um, and you noticed over that year, if anyone is listening, maybe they're an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, not even necessarily a parent, but they notice that their friend or their niece or their brother or their daughter might be struggling. What would the first looking, what would be a first step in your, like, what you've learned? What would be a first step to kind of address it? Like, if you just don't even know where to begin.
The Whenever I have a mom or someone call, and
Yeah.
that's like, what do we even? I'm worried about my kid. Um, the first thing that I would say is to just sit with them, And that doesn't always make sense to people, but it was one thing that, and I still struggle with this with my
Yeah.
youngest, and but it works when you do it, but it takes um a lot of patience and self-control. But to they'll eventually open up. It's the feeling safe to open up about it. And so I tell a story that was kind of, it's a very difficult story for me to relive because of the emotions. We don't do the blame thing,
Sure.
but there are a few things that I wish I had done different. And one was I had been gone to work all day and had come home and Sam had just got out of bed. And I was frustrated and I thought I was doing really well. And I went in my room, took, 20, 30 minutes,
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna be calm in
I do that
this
all the time.
and I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing great and came out, and so we sat down, and the thing about Sam is he was never disrespectful to me, which was a huge blessing. He he was obnoxious and he did the videos and he was just obnoxious to me,
Yeah.
but he wasn't disrespectful.
Yeah.
And so we sat down and I just said, Sam, you can't live like this. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to graduate from high school, you're not going to go on a mission, you're not going to get married, there's not going to be a wife who puts up. I said it calm,
Totally.
like I said it,
Yeah.
I was in control. I thought I was doing really well, but I laid out every possible fear and scenario that was negative, and Sam just kind of shook his head and took it like he did.
Yeah.
And I thought I was doing well. Like,
Yeah.
I was expressing my concerns. Um the problem was that Sam already knew all that stuff. That's what he was worried about. He was already worried he wasn't going to graduate with his friends. He was already worried about he wasn't going to be able to go on a mission. He was already worried that he wouldn't be able to find somebody or that he would struggle with this his whole life. Those were already his fears. And all I did was lay it on him and add to it. And I feel like that was kind of a shutdown point for him
Mhm.
because he already knew all that, and all I did was add to it. And even though I said it calmly,
Sure.
I was saying it out of concern. And but what I wish I would have done is to just come in and sit on the edge of his bed and be able to say, Sam, I see it's been a really hard day. How can I help you?
Mm,
Or I'm here
yeah.
if you want to talk.
Sure.
And it's a different going with that in acknowledging that it being hard for him,
Sure.
that it would have led to him opening up. And so whenever a parent calls, that's actually my first thing to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've had lots of parents who will come back and when I follow up with them and say, how did things go, and they're like, that worked. That was all they needed, was to be able to feel safe
Yeah.
in opening up. And now we can talk about their fears, their worries.
Yeah.
And it seems like, yes, you should all know that. I know that. Like,
But we don't
common
do
sense
it though.
wise,
We don't do like
but we don't do
I
it.
got to tell
Yeah.
you, I do it all the time where I lay out the consequences of what's going to happen and then they start crying and I'm like, hmm. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a mother and I'm telling you what's going to happen. That's my job. That's what I would think to
Exactly.
do. But it's
Right.
like maybe I see what you're saying. It's coming in. It's like how you come into that to open.
Exactly.
But like we don't get
Instead,
that training on how to
no,
do that.
exactly. Nobody ever told.
No one
I
tells
thought I
us
was
that.
doing great by taking time and calming down, and
Of course. That's what they tell you
but
to
there's
do.
such, yeah, but it's such a different. I've tried it with my youngest, who is not respectful,
Hey, we
and
all
who
have multiple
really
children.
does, who is very difficult, and who has now also had all of his own trauma, and um, so it's super hard to do that. But when I purposely do it
Oh yeah.
and take that approach, the outcome is so different than when I come in
Oh
blazing.
yeah.
And so that's, and sometimes kids who, I mean, all teenagers struggle, or all people struggle. And s- not everybody needs medication, not everybody needs therapy, and
Totally.
which I totally am I mean, I totally am great with that. And I
Yes.
think that those are good things.
Yes.
But sometimes reminding the parents, just go in and say, I see you're having a hard day, and just sit. And I just, in my head, I replay that over. If I had said that to Sam, and I see that you have had a hard day, that it's tough to get out of bed today. And what would have been the difference in that? And not to say things
Sure.
would end up the same or
Yeah.
not, but just what would he have been able to open up a little bit more, and not just take my fears and add it to his fears? And so that's the first thing that I say, and to start there, and then depending on what that leads to,
Yeah.
to find a counselor
Yep.
is always my next step. And not to be afraid of meds. I was so surprised
Same.
when Sam passed away how many parents and teenagers came to me, because you know we let it be known that our house was open and they could come and talk to me,
Oh, I love that.
with any questions or
Same.
things. And it surprised me how many parents and kids, separate times, were so afraid of meds. Like, I can't put my child on a med. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, you
you
can.
can, and it's
It's
okay.
okay.
And con- um, the thought of therapy, and well, I can't think of the word, the negative
Stigma of it.
aspects of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, stigma. There we go. The stigma of therapy, that if you went to therapy, you would be
You're
crazy.
damaged and crazy. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that was um that was a real hard one to overcome for a lot of people in the neighborhood. And yet, all of a sudden, parents started realizing, I can't help my child. And Sam passed away the week COVID hit. And so everything shut down, schools, everything. So the kids had nothing, which was another issue. And parents, I'm like, just let them go see a counselor.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we don't want to sign up for a year. And I'm like, that's not how it works.
Like we're talking today. We're trying to get through today. Yeah.
Today.
Today, focus.
And it might be one time, it
Eh,
might be
You got to
three
do it.
times. You don't have to sign up for a certain amount. It's not a club membership
Just
or a
go
gym
and
membership. Just go see, and see if you even connect with that therapist, because you might
oh
have to
yeah,
see another one.
totally.
And um and then they would report back, yeah, I went once or twice and I'm good. I know how to, I got some tools, and that was all it was.
Yeah.
And so that, I kind of do those steps, but it always starts with just sit and
Yes.
listen. Like,
Yeah.
zip it,
Create.
zip it the best you can and listen. So
Yes.
that's my advice. That's my first advice.
Thank you so much for sharing that and being open about that. And I got to tell you too, like, I shared an episode about my experiences, and then within that experience, I talking about Suicide Prevention Month. I mentioned what you said reminded me. My husband's uncle, unfortunately, a year and a half ago, passed away from suicide,
Mm,
and I got to tell you, the guy was the most jovial human you've ever met. Very well respected doctor in Kentucky. I mean, maybe one of my favorite humans on the Wilson side. Like, love the guy, cracking up. So
yeah.
there is just no way that we could all have, even the people closest to him. My husband's uncle, my husband's dad. They talked all the time. The two
Mm,
brothers, and like, it's just a reminder of like you just eat all these things, and his uncle had that safe space and had that daily call with,
Right.
and he didn't use it. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to, like you said, even if you had created that safe space, like everybody responds to things differently, but
Right.
looking back, creating the safe space is a good start.
It's a
Good
good
start.
start.
It's a and sometimes people won't enter into that safe. It might not do anything,
Hmm.
and sometimes, and a lot of times it will. We just don't know,
Right.
right? Depends on what the person's going
Exactly.
through, their brain, so many factors,
So many
biology,
factors.
everything,
Yeah.
you know?
And I will say, and we've been talking about this a little bit more, my husband and I. Sam had played rugby, and
Oh,
he had got a couple concussions right before.
oh
And
yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah.
the how much did that play into it? So
Insane.
there's a lot of other factors that go
Sure.
into things. Um, but for parents, especially, or a wife or a husband, to me, the first start is, yeah, create that safe space, and
Yep.
you might have to really practice not talking.
It's a change in mindset of how
Uh-huh.
you support the people in your life. It's actually quite
Right.
different.
Because then when they actually do feel safe and they're ready, they will ask for help, or they will ask maybe your thoughts or your opinions, and and then you're open to share. but
Totally.
um but
Totally.
it is a different mindset. Like I said, I am
I'm not good.
I still really stink at it. I just suck at it some days, but it's always there. It's
You know,
always my thought of knowing that it is a better thing to do,
yes, yes.
and a place to start.
And I think what, in my experience, as I start to try to change the way I show up, I know you're a woman of faith, and it's so funny. The last probably 5 guests God has sent me have all, faith always comes up. I'm like, woo! All of a sudden, here it is.
Yeah.
Um, I think that I've experienced, tell me if you agree, that like as you start to surrender and start to work on yourself and try to show up better for the people in your life, God starts to work on you, and you're like almost changing your heart. Like I'm new to
Hmm.
this, but starts to work on you and like show you. I get these little pings from God where I'm like, "Oh," and then right before I'm like, "Wait, what are we working on right now?" And then it's like a gentle, "Oh, remember, take that breath." Not like, "Take the breath." Like you're not a good mom right now. It's like, "Hey, you mentioned to me in that prayer this morning that you wanted to,
You
be
need a
more
little.
Christ-like, so here's a chance. But if you mess up,
Yeah.
I'll forgive you if you try again later." Right? Like
Yes. I feel like that all the time. Like,
God is there,
okay. Okay. Yeah,
even in the
exactly.
hardest. I
Hmm.
don't know. I
He
mean,
is.
so how has your faith helped you get helped you integrate this pain into your life? Because you don't get through, right? You integrate
Right.
and try to help heal, but
Change and,
yeah.
yeah, grow.
And to people of, and I think your sons talked about it too, like whether you have faith, if you're listening to this, whether you don't, whether you're trying to, whether you're like, what is this whole faith thing?
Hmm.
Or maybe you're jaded from it. I don't know. How would you say faith has helped you along this journey or helping you?
Um, it's been everything.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how people can go through something like this without having that um knowledge, or just, I don't know, just the promise of peace in there. And not that every day is peaceful or anything like that, but just it's a different comfort.
Yeah.
But yeah, knowing there's been just so many times when things are so dark and hard and miserable, and a simple prayer, or even a cry out of, please help me, God, please, I have to have some help, I can't do this anymore. And he will always either send a comfort, my heart calms, or he'll somebody will text me or something. There will be some sign that he's heard my prayer.
Mm.
And then I can always go back with the, okay, I can do this. He's there. And sometimes I get pretty vocal to him, and I've yelled at God multiple times that this isn't fair, and that's okay. I mean,
He allows for that.
he
That's
allows
what
for
I've
it,
learned.
and
Yeah.
I think he wants you to yell. He wants to hear your pain and your sorrow, and he understands that. But then there's always that after of feeling feeling a peace that you can't get on earth, kind of thing. To me,
Mm.
yeah,
Yes.
I just it's something that you can't describe, and yet even in the darkness it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I rely heavily on prayers and that knowledge
Mm.
and reaching out to him, and so
Yes. Faith for me, I was raised Catholic and then just totally fell away from faith and was like, loved people, but was like, oh yeah, God, yeah, thanks. And I'll be
yeah.
grateful, try to be a good person. And like, I don't need to go to church though. And then a couple of years ago, went through narcissistic abuse. And then that literally brought me to my knees. Like, where one day
Mhm.
and I had episodes this week about how I had suicidal thoughts and I opened up and just was like, I remember being like, I can't bear this. Like, I don't know that I can. But that, and
Yeah.
I feel like I was so broken that like when I managed to get up from that, like was the beginning of God. Like I'm like, why did I find him in this worst moment? I'm like, wait, I don't know, but I did. And like
Yeah.
maybe that's the only way he could get my attention. I don't know, but and then since then there's like something in me that I can't describe it. I'm like I don't know who I am. Like I'm everything I never thought I would be. I'm that girl now. I'm that girl talking about Jesus and I'm like, "What? Who am I?" But that's
Yeah.
who I am now.
But
That's who I am now.
yeah. Yeah. And I don't ever shy away from it. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's just
uh, it means too much to me,
totally.
and it's brought me too much peace. I would not say that it always brings me, I mean, like I said,
It
we struggle all the time,
totally.
and we have issues every day around here. So it's not that it's made life easier at
No.
all,
No.
but it helps you get through life. And
It's your companion for
yes,
the adversity. Like
right.
the he's in the valleys, he's at the mountains, like it's that feeling of presence. And I think if you're someone who's at the beginning of faith or like I'm just at the beginning again. I call myself like a baby Christian because I was Catholic and I'm like and then my older cousin Christians, they're like, "Good job. Keep doing you're good." I'm like, "Oh." I'm like, "That happened?" Wow. And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, that's what that means." And they're like, "That's God." I'm like, "Oh." Like, it's just like there's
Okay.
so much to learn, and then the more you learn, the more things start happening where you just laugh.
Right. Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way. So it's like a beautiful venture into God, but it doesn't mean that I don't have days where I'm like crying in my car, being like, "What am I doing?" Or I read a comment on the podcast and I'm like, "You can't do this. This is a mistake," and then your mind starts
Yeah.
going and the OCD starts
Hmm.
going and so it just but then there's always this moment when I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, maybe Jesus like is sitting next to me in the passenger. And I close my eyes and I put on like worship music and I'm like, I am so not alone. I'm definitely not alone. Like I know it. I can feel it.
Right. Exactly.
Even while like mascara is running down and like snot.
Yeah. And you know he's there. No, I totally agree with you in that. Um, I had a counselor once tell me I had told him that I felt guilty, and this is going to sound crazy to a lot of your listeners, but um, there was a Sunday that I just could not go to. to our
Mhm,
church, and
mhm.
I felt guilty for that. That what's wrong with me? But I mentally could not go, and um, I don't. We've never really bought things on Sunday.
Yeah.
We try to keep the Sabbath day holy, and I had gone and bought a Diet Coke. I'm a huge Diet Coke person,
Okay.
and went to the cemetery and sat at the cemetery. And part of me felt so guilty. And I know people are going to come, if they send you comments
Oh,
about
no.
this, just ignore
Oh,
them
oh, trust
because
me, I'm very good at ignoring comments now.
because it sounds crazy to most people, but at the time, or oh, that's how the church shames and blah blah blah. But it was my own thing of feeling guilty for getting a Diet Coke and not going to church and sitting at the cemetery, but I just couldn't do it. And I was telling the counselor that who was not laughing at me, but laughing that I would feel so guilty.
Sure.
And he said, Pam, so where do you think Jesus was in all of this? And I'm like, well, he was probably sitting with me at the cemetery. And he's like, no, he would have gone and got you the Diet Coke and sat with you at the cemetery. And that picture in my head has changed everything because he's so right. There would have been no shame. He would have gone and got me the Diet Coke and then just sat with me and cried at the cemetery. And I've had multiple experiences with that where different people have pointed out my youngest really struggles to go to church, and somebody said, let him come however he can come. He doesn't have to be perfect, and guess who Jesus would be sitting by first? It would be him.
Mhm.
And just that vision of it doesn't matter who we are and it doesn't matter how we act.
Mm.
Christ is going to love us for whoever,
Mhm.
and he was going to sit with us in our pain. He's going to sit with us in our mistakes. And that vision and that thought has changed my whole look on things
Mm.
for the last 4 or 5 years of
Beautiful.
where Jesus is in my
Mm.
life, and that he is my friend who's going to be sitting with me when I'm crying in the car, you know. And
Beautiful.
so
And I just got a vision of that, of like him sitting with you there with the Diet Coke,
yeah,
being like, "Hey, it's extra cold. It chilled."
yeah,
He's like, "You
exactly.
know how I
It's
can
a
do
good
anything,
one
right? I
today.
just touched it and I can make it cold or hot, whatever you need. I can pretty much do anything for you."
Yeah, exactly. And that just changed my mind. Like that just opened up, and I don't know why that was so powerful to me.
I because it's just so simple and beautiful, and it literally, I don't think I'm ever gonna forget that, like, Jesus is, maybe I didn't know him the way that I'm knowing him now growing up. No knock on
Hmm.
Catholicism or anything. I just didn't have an intimate relationship as a
Right.
buddy
Exactly.
and my
Yeah.
father and my, I thought he was like this, like I need to be a little scared, you know?
That's yes.
Like
Agreed.
like
That's how I grew up. Of not a friend.
not a friend,
I mean, yes, yes, a friend, but yet
but
not.
like not a warm one, but like a really strict
Yes.
one, but like
Right.
th- the thing I've learned through Bible study is like about his daily life and how he wept. And I'm
Hmm.
like, "He cried. He came
Exactly.
he feel he gets it." He's like, "Yep, felt every single one of those emotions.
Yeah.
So I can sit
Yeah.
with
So
you."
it's just a different
Different way.
different way to look at who he is. And yet, so now, yeah, I'm not
You're
alone
not.
ever.
No.
And that's another one that I'd love to talk with, especially teenagers about that. You know what? He's going to sit with you with the mistake. All you have to do is turn back to him.
Yes.
Multiple, however many times it takes,
There's
he will, you just turn
You're never too
back.
far gone. Never. Never, never,
Exactly.
never. Like, there's just
Yeah.
nothing that can't be redeemed, and that's such a good message because so much of our shame is just like, "I can't fix this," and it's like, well, he can. He
Mhm.
can bring you a peace that you didn't actually think was possible.
Exactly.
So, wow. Thank you. I
Yeah.
love that image. I just love
Yeah.
that image, and, And we talked about, you and again, I know we could keep talking for hours and hours
Forever.
because I'm gonna just I say this every time and um I'm gonna put links to all the resources and your podcast and your son's program, J Duo Fit. They do coaching and like nutrition and spirituality. They're just amazing.
Yeah.
And like you said, the community that you kind of wished you had, you have created now. How cool is that?
That's what yeah, it is. And I feel very honored to have people feel like they can reach out. I do not pat myself on the back at all. And
Totally.
like I said, we have our struggles in the house.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I feel very honored that people feel like they can reach out
Hmm.
and just ask me a question, or, a place to turn, or whatever it might be. To me, that feels like I'm honoring Sam.
Yes. So much. So much. And I said a prayer before and I was listening to some like worship music and just kind of getting ready. And
Mhm.
I said a little prayer to Sam and I said, "Hey buddy, like, I hope I was like, I'm talking to your mom and love your brothers. And I hope I can like just whatever messages need to come out." And I just, I think he delivered, for
Yeah,
just creating a space where I've learned you've been through so much. And I just, the courage and the love and from your family and the authenticity is unbelievably amazing because every time you're authentic and anyone's authentic on my show, anyone who hears that, the shame is maybe the shame lifts. Me too.
yeah,
Oh, she's thought that? She's done that? Oh, okay, I guess I'm not so weird. Maybe I will get that therapy. Maybe I'll talk to that friend. You just never know, And
right,
so
exactly.
I just wanted to thank you. And I will be I gotta my goal is one day to meet all of my guests in person in some way. I'm gonna make it happen through a road trip or through an event because I welcome you to like this podcast family where we keep it real and we just like hope to spread the message of God and be there for
Yeah,
each other, you know?
yeah.
So
Thank you for having me on.
yeah,
It's
you're wonderful.
an honor to be on here.
Seriously, Pam, I commend you. And as a fellow mom, my house is crazy and I've only got two. And, so we all got to stick together as moms and get through this,
Yes,
this,
yes, we do.
this beautiful chaos that we created.
Exactly, that we
We love,
wanted to create.
we
Yeah,
love.
that we love.
And
Yes.
I think as mothers now, as podcasters, mothers, we take those roles very seriously. And I think sometimes you need a break, so
Yeah.
that's okay too.
Exactly.
So you get back
That
on
is.
whenever you're ready.
There's. Yes, I will.
But yeah. Well, Pam, I'm gonna let you go and thank you again. And I know and hope and pray that this helps somebody out there.
Oh, thank you. I hope so too.
Yeah. All right, my
So,
friend. Well, we will talk
all
very
right.
soon.
Okay. Thank you.